I found out my husband was having a baby with another woman in the same place I found out I was not pregnant. A doctor's office. Beige walls. Cold paper under my legs. 2 pink lines wrapped in tissue inside my purse. I had walked in thinking I might finally become a mother. I walked out knowing my husband's family had already replaced me. Not secretly. Not quietly. With balloons, a gift registry, a blue frosted cake, and a baby shower scheduled inside my dead father's garden store. My store. The store my father left me before cancer took him. The store my husband had been calling ours while he used it to build a future with someone else. But that was not even the worst part. The worst part was what my doctor said after she looked at my blood work. Natalie, she told me, lowering her voice, "Your body wasn't failing you." Then she slid a report across the desk. Something was interfering with it. For 2 years, my husband had made me a fertility shake every morning. For 2 years, he watched me drink it. For 2 years, he kissed my forehead afterward and said, "One day, Mama." But that morning, I realized something so cold it felt almost impossible to think. The man who said he wanted a baby with me had been making sure I could never carry one. And his mother knew. Before I tell you what happened, let me ask you something. Have you ever been betrayed by a stranger? It hurts, but it ends. Now, have you ever been betrayed by people who still invited you to Sunday dinner? That kind of betrayal does not stab you once. It teaches everyone at the table to pretend you are not bleeding. My name is Natalie Brooks Keller. At 34, I lived in Dayton, Ohio, in a small white house behind Brooks' family garden and feed. My father's store. Nothing fancy. No luxury showroom. No giant company. Just a brick building on a corner lot with bags of mulch stacked outside, tomato seedlings on metal racks, wind chimes by the front door, and an old hand-painted sign my father refused to replace. Brooks' family garden and feed. The paint was chipped. The B leaned a little to the left. But my dad used to say, a sign doesn't have to be perfect to mean something. When he died, he left the store to me. That was my inheritance. Not millions. Not a mansion. Just the store, the little house behind it, and the name Brooks painted across the front. My husband, Ryan Keller, used to say he loved that. You come from real people, he told me when we were dating. People with roots. Ryan was a kitchen contractor. Handsome in that easy, dangerous way. Blue eyes. Broad shoulders. A crooked smile that made women forgive him before he apologized. He could fix a cabinet charm, a widow talk a bank manager into waiving a fee and make himself look like the victim in any room within 5 minutes. My father saw through him before I did. 2 months before my wedding, Dad watched Ryan laughing with a customer near the fertilizer aisle. Ryan had one hand on the man's shoulder, talking like they were old friends. Dad stood beside me and said, "That boy knows how to make people like him." I smiled. "That's a good thing?" Dad looked at me. "Only if he likes them back." I thought he was being protective. He was being right. Ryan and I got married behind the store under string lights and a borrowed white tent from my uncle's church. My mother had passed years before, so Dad walked me down the aisle slowly, one hand covering mine. At the end, Ryan cried. I thought those tears meant love. Now I know some men cry because tears make good camouflage. Ryan's mother, Darlene Keller, cried even louder. After the ceremony, she hugged me and whispered, "You're a Keller now. We protect our own." I didn't understand then. To Darlene, our own never meant me. It meant Ryan. It always meant Ryan. The first year of marriage was almost beautiful. Ryan helped around the store when he had time. He called my dad sir, even after Dad told him to stop. He brought me coffee on Saturday mornings and kissed the back of my neck while I counted receipts. He talked about children like they were already waiting for us. "A girl first," he said one night while we sat on the porch, "with your stubborn chin. And if it's a boy, then he gets the store one day." I laughed. "You already giving away my inheritance?" He smiled. "Our inheritance, Nat." Back then I thought that sounded romantic. Now I hear the warning in it. Ryan loved that word when it gave him access to something mine. We started trying for a baby after our first anniversary. At first it was sweet. He downloaded an app to track my cycle. He bought prenatal vitamins. He held my hand when the first pregnancy test came back negative. Then the second, then the 5th, then the 10th. After a while, grief became part of our morning routine. Wake up, take a test, see one line, pretend I was fine, go to work. I was a middle school counselor, so I spent my days telling children their feelings were valid while privately treating my own like an inconvenience. At Sunday dinners, Darlene started asking questions. Not cruel at first. Soft. Church lady soft. Any news yet? Have you tried relaxing? My friend's daughter got pregnant after she stopped thinking about it so much. Then after a year, her voice changed. Ryan always wanted a big family. Some women are naturally maternal. Maybe God is asking you to look at what you're holding on to. I asked Ryan to say something. He sighed. Mom worries. She humiliates me. She's old-fashioned. She said maybe I'm blocking God. He rubbed his temples. Natalie, I'm tired. I'm tired of being stuck between my wife and my mother. That was Ryan's favorite trick. He made my pain sound like a burden he had to carry. Around that time, Darlene gave him the brown glass jar. She brought it over on a Sunday afternoon wrapped in a dish towel. What is it, I asked? A fertility blend, she said. All natural. From a woman at church. Ryan took the jar before I could. Mom, this is great. Darlene smiled at me. 2 scoops every morning. Don't skip it, sweetheart. Consistency matters. The label was masking tape. Darlene had written in blue marker, Natalie's baby blend. I hated the taste. Even mixed with banana, almond milk, honey, and protein powder, something bitter stayed underneath. Like pennies. Like dirt. Like swallowing a warning. But Ryan made the shake every morning. He stood at the counter and watched me drink it. If I left some in the glass, he noticed. Come on, Nat, he would say gently. Don't quit halfway and then cry when nothing changes. Once I told him it made me dizzy. He smiled, but his eyes went flat. You wanted to try everything. I know, but... So try. That was the first time I felt afraid of him. Not because he yelled. He didn't. Ryan rarely raised his voice. He didn't need to. He had a way of lowering it that made the room feel smaller. So I drank. Every morning. For almost 2 years. Then came the Monday that opened the grave under my marriage. I woke before sunrise because my period was 6 days late. I had been late before. Hope had humiliated me enough times that I no longer ran toward it. I crept toward it carefully. I took the pregnancy test in the downstairs bathroom while Ryan slept upstairs. I set it on the sink. I turned away. I counted to 100. When I looked back, there were 2 pink lines. 2. I gripped the sink with both hands. For a second, I could not breathe. Then I laughed. A tiny broken sound. Ryan, I whispered. I ran upstairs. His side of the bed was empty. A note sat on his pillow. Early estimate. Big client. Don't wait breakfast. Love you. My phone buzzed. Ryan. You good going to the clinic alone? Tell me everything after. Love you, Mama. Mama. That word almost destroyed me. I stood there, holding the test, wanting to call him, wanting to hear his voice crack, wanting to believe this was the morning all the pain finally turned into meaning. Instead, I wrapped the test in tissue and drove to the clinic alone. The waiting room was full. A pregnant woman rubbed her belly near the window. A tired father rocked a baby carrier with 1 foot. An older woman knitted something yellow. I sat in the corner and pressed my hand to my stomach. I imagined a crib in the small bedroom upstairs, tiny socks in the laundry, my dad's old rocking chair by the window, Ryan crying for real this time, Darlene finally looking at me like I belonged. That was the saddest part. Even after everything, I still wanted a place at their table. Dr. Elaine Morris called me back at 9:15. She was calm, practical, kind without being fake. She ordered blood work. She looked at the home test and smiled carefully. Let's confirm before we celebrate. 20 minutes later, she came back with a folder. Her face had changed. My heart knew first. Natalie, she said quietly, your blood test is negative. The room tilted. Number. I know. No, I saw 2 lines. I believe you. Then how? She sat across from me. There are several reasons a home test can show positive while blood work is negative. But there's more. Her eyes moved to the report. Your hormone levels are not where I'd expect them to be. And there are markers here that suggest something has been disrupting your system for a while. I stared at her. Disrupting. It could be a supplement, medication, an unregulated blend, something you are taking consistently. The bitter shake rose in my memory. The jar. Darlene's handwriting. Ryan watching me swallow. Dr. Morris asked, are you taking anything not prescribed? My mother-in-law gave me a fertility powder. Her face tightened slightly. I need you to stop taking it immediately. Before I could answer, her computer chimed. An insurance alert appeared on the monitor. Dr. Morris frowned. That's odd. What? There's a duplicate maternity registration under your husband's insurance. I don't understand. She hesitated. I shouldn't be seeing this attached to your file, but because you are listed as spouse, the system flagged a conflict. Then she turned the screen. I saw a baby shower invitation. A woman in a pale blue dress stood in front of balloons, one hand on her pregnant belly. Ryan stood behind her, both hands resting over hers. He was smiling, not politely, not nervously, proudly. Across the top, "Welcome baby Parker Keller." Underneath, "Ryan Keller and Tessa Monroe invite you to celebrate their little miracle." Then I saw the venue. My body went cold. Brooks Family Garden and Feedback Greenhouse. My father's store. My father's greenhouse. My husband's mistress's baby shower. At the bottom of the invitation, my mother-in-law had written, "After all these years, our family is finally getting the grandchild we deserve." The grandchild we deserve. Not a grandchild. Not a blessing. The grandchild. As if I had been an obstacle. As if my empty womb was a personal insult. I don't remember standing. I don't remember leaving. I remember sitting in my car with the pregnancy test in my lap while the words repeated in my head. My store. His baby. Their celebration. My phone buzzed. "Ryan, how'd it go?" Then, "Ryan's still at clinic. Don't stress. Whatever happens, we'll handle it." I typed with shaking fingers. "Negative, same as always," he replied almost instantly. "Ryan, I'm sorry, baby. Drink your shake when you get home. Mom made a fresh batch. We can't give up now." That was the moment my grief changed shape. It did not become rage. Not yet. Rage is loud. This became something quieter, sharper, a blade being pulled slowly from its sheath. I drove home. The house behind the store looked exactly the same. Green shutters, white siding, porch steps my dad had fixed twice because he refused to pay a man for work he could still do with his own hands. Ryan's truck was gone. On the kitchen counter beside the blender sat the brown glass jar. "Natalie's baby blend." I put on gloves. Not because I knew what I was doing, because some instinct in me understood that the truth needed to stay clean. I scooped some powder into a plastic bag. I sealed it. I hid it in an old coffee tin behind the flour. Then I walked to the back office of the store. Ryan had convinced me to let him use it after his contracting job slowed down. "Just temporary," he said. That had been 18 months ago. His desk drawer was locked. I knew where he kept the key. Men like Ryan think women don't notice things. They think love makes us blind. Love does not make women blind. It makes us patient with what we see. In the bottom drawer behind old estimates, I found receipts. Diapers, baby monitor, white crib, prenatal vitamins, blue balloons, a cake deposit. The card used was ours, our joint checking account. The account, Ryan said, was tight because business was slow. Then I found another receipt, a rocking chair from Brooks Family Garden and Feed. Market damaged. Employee discount applied. My breath stopped. My father's rocking chair, the one he had built from leftover oak the summer before he got sick. He had sanded it by hand, stained it twice, set it in the back room and told me, "One day, Nat, this will sit in your nursery." Ryan had marked it damaged and taken it. For her. For their nursery. I checked the store camera footage. There he was. After midnight. Ryan carrying the chair through the back door, careful not to scratch the legs. Then another video. Ryan taking baby blankets. Another. Ryan removing my father's handmade shelf. The shelf Dad built for my future child. Ryan did not steal things because he needed them. He stole them because he believed anything connected to me could be repurposed for the life he actually wanted. I sat in my father's office and cried silently. Then I kept looking. In Ryan's desk, taped beneath the bottom drawer, I found a small black device. At first I thought it was a USB drive. Then I saw the label, a location tracker. My hands went numb. I checked my purse. Nothing. My car. Nothing. Then I remembered my keychain. My father's old store key hung from a leather tag Ryan had given me after Dad died. "I had it made so you never lose him," Ryan said. I unscrewed the leather backing with a tiny screwdriver from Dad's tool drawer. Inside was another tracker. Active. Blinking. He had been watching me. The clinic. The store. My Aunt Linda's house. Late-night drives when I couldn't sleep. Every place I went while believing my grief was private. I set the keychain down on the desk. For the first time in my marriage, I understood Ryan clearly. He did not just want another woman. He wanted control. He wanted my store, my silence, my father's name, my body's failure, my reputation, and a baby. he could parade as proof that I had been the problem all along. That night, Ryan came home at 8:50, smelling like winter air and vanilla. Someone else's candle. He kissed my forehead. "How's my girl?" I looked at him. Really looked. The man I married was standing in front of me. So was the man who had turned my father's store into a baby shower venue for another woman. Both faces fit perfectly. "Fine," I said. His eyes moved toward the blender. "Did you drink your shake?" "Not yet." His jaw tightened. "You need to." "I'm tired." He stepped closer. "Natalie, if you keep sabotaging the things that might help us, you can't keep falling apart every time the test is negative." I stared at him. "Sabotaging? You heard me." The softness left his voice. For 1 second I saw what lived underneath. "You think I like watching my wife cry every month," he said. "You think I like going to my mother's house and hearing everyone wonder what's wrong with you?" There it was. "What's wrong with you?" "Not us. Not this. You," I whispered. "Do you think something is wrong with me?" Ryan smiled sadly. That was what made him dangerous. Not the anger, the sadness he could fake while twisting the knife. "I think you need help, Nat." My skin went cold. What does that mean? It means people are worried. Who? My family. Some people from church. Even a few customers have asked if you're okay. Customers. He had been preparing the ground, planting seeds. Poor Natalie. Unstable Natalie. Broken Natalie. Infertile Natalie. So when the truth came out, he could point to my tears and call them evidence. He touched my cheek. "You know I love you, but if you keep spiraling, I'm going to have to make hard choices." For the first time, I believed he might hurt me. Not in a dramatic way. Not with a gun or a knife. Ryan was smarter than that. He would hurt me with concern, with witnesses, with edited stories, with a family nodding behind him while he explained that his poor wife had finally lost control. I smiled faintly. "I'll drink it later. Promise. Promise." He kissed my forehead. I poured the shake down the sink after he went upstairs. Then I slept with my phone under my pillow. The next morning I went to Aunt Linda. Every family has one person who sees more than they say. For me, that was Linda. She had worked the register at Brooks Family Garden and Feed for 22 years. She had watched my father age, watched me grow up, and watched Ryan learn where the money was kept. I sat at her kitchen table and told her everything. The clinic, the invitation, the powder, the tracker, the receipts, the stolen chair, the baby shower scheduled in my father's greenhouse. Aunt Linda did not interrupt. When I finished, she poured coffee into 2 mugs, sat down and said, "Your father never trusted that boy." My throat closed. "He didn't." Number. "Why didn't he tell me?" "He did. You were in love." That hurt because it was true. She reached across the table. "Listen to me, Natalie. You don't need to scream. You don't need to beg. You need to protect your father's name and your own life." My own life. Linda's face was grave. "Honey, a man who tracks you drugs, you steals from you, and tells people you're unstable is not just cheating. He is building a cage and calling it concern." Those words stayed with me. A cage called concern. For the next few days, I moved carefully. I gave Dr. Morris the powder. She sent it for testing. I changed the back office locks at the store. I removed Ryan's employee code. I backed up security footage. I saved screenshots of Darlene's posts. And then I found Tessa. Her address was on a shipping label Ryan had thrown away. A duplex in Kettering. Pumpkins on the porch. A welcome mat that said "Home Sweet Home." Nothing about it looked evil. That made it worse. I stood outside holding a casserole Aunt Linda had made. Because in Ohio, even heartbreak arrives covered in foil. Tessa opened the door. She was younger than me, maybe 29, soft brown hair, tired eyes, one hand resting on her belly. At first she looked confused. Then she recognized me. Her face hardened. "You need to leave." "He warned you about me," I said. She swallowed. "Yes." "What did he say?" "That you were sick. That you couldn't accept the separation. That you might show up here and try to scare me." Separation. The pretty word he used to hide adultery. "Tessa, Ryan and I are not separated." Her eyes narrowed. "He said you would say that." "I'm sure he did." "He said you would bring fake photos." I nodded. "Then don't believe photos." I took a breath. "Ask him why his gray work boots are still by my back door. Ask him why his allergy pills are in the top drawer of my bathroom. Ask him why he texted me 2 mornings ago telling me to drink the fertility shake his mother made." Her hand tightened on the doorframe. "Number." I know. He said you were unstable. He has been telling people that for months. He said you were trying to take his business. The business is my father's store. Her face changed, just a little. He said your father promised it to him. My father left it to me. He said you refused to let him build a future. I looked at her belly. No, he built one, just not honestly. For a moment I thought she would slam the door. Instead, her eyes filled with tears she refused to let fall. He told me you couldn't have children and it broke him. The sentence hit me so hard I almost stepped back. I could not have children. And it broke him. That was the story. The saintly husband. The barren, unstable wife. The new woman is healing, I whispered. He was giving me something every morning that may have helped make that true. Tessa's face went pale. What? I told her about the powder, the doctor, the tests, the tracker, the baby shower invitation, the store receipts, the chair. She kept shaking her head. Not because she didn't believe me, because she was trying not to. Women know that moment. The mind fighting the truth because the truth means the last few years of your life were built on sand. Finally, she stepped aside. Come in. Her living room was warm. Baby clothes folded on the couch. A hospital bag near the hallway. On the wall, a framed ultrasound photo. In the nursery beside the white crib sat my father's rocking chair. My knees nearly gave out. Tessa saw my face. That's the chair. I nodded. My father made it. Her lips trembled. Ryan said his dad did. Above the crib, wooden letters spelled Parker Keller, my married name, used like I had already been buried. Tessa sat slowly on the edge of the bed. He said you took everything from him. He told me you were a mistake from his past. She flinched. Then she opened a drawer and pulled out a folder. He told me to keep this in case you came. Inside were printed screenshots, photos of me crying in my car outside the clinic. A picture of me sitting alone behind the store after my father's birthday. A cropped video of me arguing with Ryan with no sound, all taken from angles I had never noticed. My stomach turned. He was documenting me, I said. Tessa looked horrified. He said it was for protection. No, I said. It was for a story. What story? The one where I'm crazy before I ever get to tell the truth. Tessa covered her mouth. That was when her phone buzzed. Ryan. She looked at me, then answered on speaker. Hey, she said, voice shaking. Ryan's voice came through warm and smooth. Hey, baby, you okay? Yes. You sound weird. I'm tired. You need to rest. Big day Saturday. I know. There was a pause. Then his voice changed. Has Natalie contacted you? Tessa's eyes met mine. Number. Good. If she does, don't open the door. Don't talk to her. She's not well. Tessa closed her eyes. Ryan continued. She wants to destroy what we have because she couldn't give me a family. I hate saying that, but it's true. My heart turned to ice. Then he said the sentence that made Tessa's hand fly to her belly. After Saturday, everything changes. Once people see you and Parker in that greenhouse, no one will think of that place as hers anymore. Tessa ended the call without answering. The room went silent. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Then Tessa said, the baby shower is still happening Saturday. I looked at her. At your store. My father's store, I said. She nodded. And he thinks you don't know. I looked toward the nursery. At my father's chair. At the stolen shelf. At the name Keller above a crib. He thinks a lot of things. Tessa wiped her face. What do we do? That was when I stopped being only a victim. A victim asks why. A survivor asks what now. And a woman who has finally understood her enemy starts planning with both eyes open. Saturday came cold and bright. By noon, Brooks' family garden and feed was closed to regular customers. That was normal. We always closed early one Saturday a month for inventory. Ryan thought he had arranged everything. He had taken the spare key from my desk weeks earlier. He had told Darlene the back greenhouse was available. He had told Tessa I had agreed privately because I was trying to be mature. He had told guests the store was practically his. He had told himself I would be home crying. He forgot I was my father's daughter. By 100 cars filled the lot. Women in church dresses walked through the side entrance carrying blue gift bags. Brianna arrived with balloons. Darlene arrived with a cake. Ryan arrived last in a navy shirt I had bought him for our anniversary. He unlocked my father's greenhouse like he owned it. Inside, they covered the old Brooks workbench with a white tablecloth. They tied balloons to the seed racks. They placed gifts between bags of potting soil. And across the back wall over my father's framed photo, they hung a banner. Welcome, baby Parker Keller. The word Keller covered my father's face. I watched all of this from the office monitor. Aunt Linda stood beside me. Dr. Morris was there too, not as a doctor revealing private records, but as someone who had agreed to witness what Ryan had been doing with that powder and that story. Tessa was in the parking lot in Aunt Linda's car. She had insisted on coming. I told her she didn't have to. She said, "He used my baby to erase you. I won't let him use my silence too." At 1:30 the shower began. Darlene stood near the cake, glowing like a queen at a coronation. "Thank you all for coming," she said. "This family has waited so long for joy." Ryan put his arm around Tessa when she walked in. She let him. For the moment. He kissed her temple. The room clapped. Then he said loudly, "Parker is proof that God restores what was stolen." Aunt Linda's hand tightened on my shoulder. I felt something inside me go very calm. There are moments in life when anger becomes too small. This was bigger than anger. This was legacy. This was my father's store, my body, my name, my life. I walked into the greenhouse through the front entrance wearing my navy dress, my mother's pearl earrings and my father's old store key hanging from a chain around my neck. The room went silent so fast the balloon seemed loud. Darlene froze. Brianna whispered, "Oh my God." Ryan's arm slipped from Tessa's waist. For 1 second his eyes showed fear. Then he smiled. Because men like Ryan always try charm first. "Natalie," he said softly, "this is not the place." I looked around. At my father's store. His smile tightened. "We can talk privately. You keep wanting privacy for things you made public." Darlene stepped forward. "Natalie, sweetheart, you are clearly upset." I looked at the banner covering my father's photo. "Yes," I said, "I am." Ryan lowered his voice. "You're embarrassing yourself. That used to work. It used to make me swallow my anger and protect his image. Not anymore." "No, Ryan," I said. "Embarrassing was drinking that shake every morning because I trusted you. This is what I look like when I finally stop." The guests murmured. Ryan's face darkened. Darlene laughed nervously. "She's been under a lot of stress. Infertility can be very hard on a woman's mind." Tessa stepped away from Ryan. "No," she said. Everyone turned. Tessa's voice shook, but she kept speaking. "He told me that too. He told me she was unstable. He told me they were separated. He told me this store was his future." Ryan whispered Tess. She looked at him. "Don't." I walked to the workbench and placed 4 things on the table. A printed screenshot of the baby shower invitation listing my store without my permission. A receipt showing Ryan used the store account for baby supplies. A still image from the security camera showing him carrying out my father's rocking chair. And a screenshot of Darlene's text. "2 scoops, sweetheart. Don't skip it. Ryan deserves a baby." A woman near the punch bowl gasped. Darlene's face went pale. I looked at her. "You told me this powder would help me become a mother." She lifted her chin. "It was natural." "Then why did you tell Ryan to make sure I finished it?" Her mouth closed. I read the next message aloud. "If she complains, tell her she's being emotional. She listens better when she feels guilty." The room went completely still. Ryan lunged for the papers. Aunt Linda stepped in front of him. "Touch that table and I'll make sure every customer in Dayton sees this footage by supper." Ryan stopped. His face changed. The charming husband vanished. The wounded man vanished. What remained was cold. "You think this makes you strong," he said to me. I looked at him. "No, I think surviving you made me strong." He laughed once. Ugly. There it is, the performance. Poor Natalie, always the victim. He turned to the guests. "You don't know what living with her was like. The crying, the tests, the obsession. The way she made every month a funeral." My chest tightened, but I did not move. He stepped closer. "You think I didn't deserve a life? You think I was supposed to waste forever in that sad little house, while she turned her father's store into a shrine?" Aunt Linda whispered, "Careful, boy." Ryan ignored her. He pointed at me. "That store should have been mine from the start. I was the one with plans. I was the one who could make it something. Your father knew you were too soft to run it." The room shifted. There it was. The truth. Not love. Not family. Not future. Ownership. I touched the key around my neck. "My father left it to me." "Because he felt sorry for you," Ryan snapped. The words hit hard. But they did not break me. I looked at the banner covering Dad's photo. Then I walked over and pulled it down. The tape tore from the wall. The banner fell across the floor. My father's face appeared behind it. smiling in his old flannel shirt, standing beside the first tomato plants he ever sold. For the first time that day, my voice almost broke. "You do not get to cover him with your lies." Tessa began to cry. Darlene pointed at me. "You are ruining a baby shower." "No," Tessa said, stronger now. "You used my baby to ruin another woman." Ryan turned on her. "Tessa, don't be stupid." The room gasped. His mistake. Men like Ryan can control a room for years and lose it in one sentence. Tessa stared at him. "What did you call me?" Ryan caught himself. "I didn't mean." "Yes, you did." She removed the ring from her finger. Her hand shook. "This baby will not carry your name." Ryan's face twisted. "You don't get to decide that." I stepped between them. She just did. For a moment, I thought he might shove me. His hand moved. Not far, but enough. Aunt Linda's voice cracked through the room. "Ryan Keller, there are 3 cameras pointed at you and half a church watching. Try it." He froze. Guests turned towards the ceiling corners. Cameras. My father had installed them after a break-in 10 years earlier. Ryan knew that. He had just forgotten I did too. Darlene grabbed his arm. "Ryan, stop." But he was unraveling now. He pointed at me again. "You think people will believe you? I have videos, pictures. You crying in parking lots, screaming at me, acting crazy." I nodded. "I know." That confused him. I found the folder. His face went white. So did Tessa. The guests looked at Tessa. She nodded. He had pictures of her crying. He told me they were proof she was dangerous. An older woman from Darlene's church covered her mouth. "Ryan," I looked at him. "You documented my pain because you planned to use it against me." He said nothing. That silence was louder than confession. Dr. Morris stepped forward. Again, she did not reveal private details. She simply looked at the room and said, "No woman should ever be shamed for struggling to become pregnant. And no woman should ever be pressured into taking something she does not fully understand." Darlene whispered, "This is nobody's business." Aunt Linda answered, "Then you shouldn't have hosted it under Brooke's lights." Brianna began crying. Mark walked out. One of the church women quietly picked up the fallen banner from the floor. She folded it once, then again, then set it on a chair. No one tried to hang it back up. That image stayed with me. A name removed, a lie folded, a room finally seeing what it had been asked to celebrate. Ryan looked around and realized he had lost them. Not legally, not officially, not with dramatic sirens. He had lost the room. For a man like Ryan, that was worse. He turned to me one last time. His voice was low. "You'll regret this." For the first time, I smiled. "I already regret you." Then I opened the greenhouse door. "You can leave my father's store." He laughed. "You can't kick everyone out." I looked at the guests. "This store is closed for inventory." One by one, people picked up their purses. Gift bags remained on the tables. The cake sat untouched. Tessa walked past Ryan without looking at him. Aunt Linda took her arm. Darlene stood frozen beside the punch bowl, face-pale, hands trembling. Ryan stayed in the middle of the greenhouse, surrounded by blue balloons and stolen furniture, watching the future he had staged collapse without applause. The weeks after that were not clean. Real life never ends as neatly as a story. Ryan begged, then blamed, then threatened, then cried. He sent messages saying he loved me, then messages saying I ruined his life, then messages saying nobody would ever want me. I did not answer. Darlene told people I had destroyed her family because I was jealous of a baby. But people had seen enough. Small towns talk. Church ladies talk. Store customers talk. And this time the story did not belong to Ryan. The powder testing led to questions Darlene could not sweet-talk her way out of. It was not some dramatic movie poison. It was worse in a quieter way. An unregulated blend. Hormone-disrupting ingredients. Things no doctor would have approved for a woman trying to conceive. Enough to keep me sick. Enough to confuse my body. Enough to make me blame myself while Ryan built another life. The stolen inventory became a report. The divorce became paperwork. The rest became healing. But I will not turn this into a legal story because papers were never the heart of it. The heart of it was one woman standing in her father's greenhouse pulling a baby shower banner off his picture and remembering who she was. Tessa had her baby in January. A boy. Parker. She gave him her last name. Monroe. Not Keller. I visited once at the hospital. Not because we were best friends. We weren't. We were 2 women who had survived the same fire from different rooms. She placed the baby in my arms. He was tiny and warm, wrapped in a yellow blanket. For a second, grief rose in me so sharply I almost handed him back. Then he opened his eyes. Not Ryan's eyes, not Darlene's, just his own, innocent, unclaimed by anyone's lies. I rocked him gently. The chair came back to me a week later, Tessa insisted. So did the shelf. I put both in the corner of Brooke's family garden and feed near the seed racks. Children sit there now while their parents shop. They swing their feet. They read picture books. Sometimes they ask why the chair is so old. I tell them, because some things are built well enough to survive being taken. Spring came slowly that year. The first warm day, I opened the store doors and set trays of tomato seedlings outside. The old sign still leaned a little to the left. Brooke's Family Garden and Feed. A customer asked if Ryan was still helping around the place. I smiled and said, no, we don't keep broken tools. Aunt Linda laughed so hard she nearly dropped a bag of potting soil. I kept the house. I kept the store. I kept my father's name on the sign. I kept my mother's pearls. I kept the key. And I kept something I almost lost. Myself. For 2 years, I measured my worth in pregnancy tests. 1 line meant failure. 2 lines meant hope. But I had been using the wrong test. A woman's value is not proven by her ability to carry a child. It is not proven by a husband's loyalty. It is not proven by whether a mother-in-law saves her a seat at Sunday dinner. Self-worth is quieter than that. It is the moment you stop begging people to respect you and start respecting yourself enough to walk away. Legacy is not a last name. It is not a baby used as proof that one woman mattered more than another. It is not a family photo where someone has been cropped out. Legacy is what you protect when people try to rewrite you. My father's legacy was not only the store. It was the way he taught me to look people in the eye and know the value of honest work. My mother's legacy was not only her pearl earrings. It was the quiet strength of a woman who never raised her voice, but never let anyone move her boundary twice. And my legacy, I used to think it had to be a child. Now I think legacy begins with the life you refuse to let someone steal. So if you are listening to this and you have ever felt erased by your own family, hear me clearly. Being excluded does not mean you are worthless. Being lied to does not mean you are foolish. Being unable to give someone what they demanded does not make you less of a woman, less of a wife, or less of a person. Sometimes people call you broken because your wholeness gets in the way of what they want. Sometimes they call you dramatic because the truth sounds loud when they have built a home out of silence. And sometimes the family you lose was only ever a room where you were expected to bleed quietly. Walk out of that room. Take your name with you. Take your dignity. Take the key. Because respect is not something you earn by disappearing. Love is not proven by how much pain you can swallow. And family is not the people who use your wounds as excuses for their greed. Family is where your humanity is safe. If you were Natalie, would you have exposed Ryan in the greenhouse in front of everyone? Or would you have walked away quietly and let the truth find him later? And have you ever seen a family protect the wrong person just because admitting the truth would cost them too much? Tell me in the comments. Because somewhere out there, someone is sitting at a family table feeling like the outsider in their own life. And your words might remind them they are not alone.